It's Maddie and Patty up and down the East Coast this fine afternoon from Brooklyn. This is Pat McMenamin to the Outer Banks in North Carolina on vacation. It's Matt Youngner. Say hello, Maddie.
Hey, Patty. How you doing, buddy?
I am great. I am now a father of two. The
Look
Browns
at you.
won. The Browns won on my second son's first Browns game. He did better.
Right, he's 1-0.
Yeah, that's better than Arthur can say. And then the Indians are relevant. Cavs training camp's about to begin. It's
Exciting times.
reason to be excited. Welcome to the Cleveland Sports Hour with Maddie and Patty. We are two self-aware but unapologetic homers who spend far too much time watching, reading, and thinking about the Browns, the Tribe, and the Cavs. So if you'd like the informed, intelligent Cleveland fans' perspective, you've come to the right place. The opening track is in honor of the rabbit, obviously, Travis Benjamin. It's all about the Benjamin.
B-Rabbit.
Didn't get it yet. B-Rabbit, who ripped off 3 touchdowns, had 115 yards receiving, 154 yards in punt returns, making him, Maddie, I don't know if you know this, the second-ranked wide receiver in fantasy football.
And
still
played
available in our
almost
league.
0 leagues.
Still available in our league, Maddie.
You couldn't even be bothered to pick him up, Pat.
I don't know, man. Come on. 4 touchdowns in 2 games?
Sign him up.
I may have to sign him up. This is all in a week 2. This is all an effort of a week 2 season-saving win. Yes, the Browns season could have been decided in that game in week 2 over Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans. The Rabbit narrowly snatched honors from our own mighty brownie elf, Maddie. Johnny Manziel, as he lit up the Titans on Sunday, forcing number 1 Johnny Hader, the mediocre retired Steelers running back and apparently renowned quarterback expert, Merrill Hodge, to change his awful No, to no one, Maddie. Basically, if you didn't follow this, Merrill Hodge has been ripping on Johnny, and Johnny's response was just he needs to worry about his wide neckties. And apparently, Merrill Hodge promised he would wear an orange, horrible, wide necktie if Johnny lit up the Titans. And I think you could say he lit them up. Would you say he lit them up?
For our purposes, yes. For Merrill Hodge's purposes, yes.
Yes, and so he's still wearing an ugly tie, but now it's an orange ugly tie. So, Maddie, let's talk about this game. I mean, I was bringing home my 4-day-old son, Saul, during the game, so I barely caught up beyond a few moments. Just describe this game to me. It sounds exciting.
Yeah, Pat, I did not watch a single moment of the game. Not one.
Oh.
Not 1 second.
So neither of us really watched the game that is supposed to make up about half the episode of the Cleveland Sports Hour, huh?
Yeah, this is a good place to come for an informed Cleveland sports opinion, Pat.
That's right. Well, hey,
Life gets in the way.
No matter, Maddie and Patty are undaunted by such trifles that plague mere mortal podcast pundits. We don't actually need to watch the game in order to pontificate on its deeper meaning, do we, Maddie? I mean, I think we are smart enough individuals. We can look through the statistics, read about the game, and put together a more cohesive understanding of what happened than anyone else could possibly do unless they listen to us, right?
Our knowledge is so good we don't even have to watch the games, Pat. You know that.
Yeah, this is true. Of course. I just want to make sure you knew and that our viewers understood. So we're going to recap the big game with our deep breadth of experience. We'll look forward to next weekend's suddenly meaningful games against the Raiders. Then we're going to preview the Tribe's final playoff push, which begins tonight against the Minnesota Twins, who we are chasing. And then we'll start the countdown to a major Tristan Thompson signing deadline. So we'll wrap it up with some Cavs news and look forward to, obviously, training camp as much as we can. So, Maddie, let's start with you. What are your opening thoughts in this surprising game?
So I think I have some version of charitable and uncharitable going on. Charitably, I think we were ready for this season to be over after last week. We were prepared for a 2-win season, a 3-win season, and this sort of pulls us out of that a little bit, which is great. Less charitably, the Titans are supposed to be terrible. Got 1 win under their belt against the Buccaneers team. I think the truth, Pat, is actually somewhat in the middle. I don't think we're a lot of bad breaks. In terms of fumble recoveries, big plays just not going our way. This week, almost everything went our way. I think Mariota had a fumble called back because of a Titans penalty, an interception called back because of a questionable Browns penalty, one fumble that they recovered, but his other 2 fumbles we got back. Johnny Manziel lost 2 fumbles that we were able to recover. I love big plays, but it's hard to think that 2 50-plus yard touchdowns and an 85-yard punt return are sustainable forms of offense for us.
It's a winning formula, Matty.
Yeah, I think we'd have to say that we got a little lucky there. So maybe through 2 games we can say the Browns are not horrible and not great, which is about where we expected them, and that we've gotten unlucky once and maybe lost to a much better Jets team who maybe we'll talk about lit up the Colts pretty good. Maybe we got a little lucky against the Titans team, and that's probably about as much as we can reasonably say at this point in an NFL season.
Well, by the transitive property, we're better than the Titans, the Buccaneers, and the Saints. Because the Titans are supposed to be terrible, but they blew up, just stomped on the Bucs. And by the way, in a way, I've never seen the Browns actually play except for 1 or 2 games at random over the past 10 years. The way the Titans beat down on the Bucs, who were terrible. Okay. But then the Bucs went out and just beat the Saints, who are probably much more terrible than we realize.
Well, it's that weird time of year in the NFL, Pat, where you don't really know who's good or not. Things are still shaking out.
Exactly. One person who's particularly surprised is one of our loyal listeners, the Vile Sticky Thins, as some of our regular listeners will remember us talking about him. He texted us during the last week's podcast, boldly predicting, quote, "The Titans will smoke us this week. It will not be close, period." Great call, Sticky. I do believe, Matty, the official Matty and Patty prediction was an incredibly bold toss-up, was what we labeled the game. So clearly we were right. So once again, we nailed it.
Crushed it.
We clearly crushed that one. Yeah, my big takeaway is the reason I had optimism last week was I didn't think we were as bad as we looked. I thought we let a couple of really bad breaks demoralize us, and then we kind of let the game get away from us. I still feel like we're better than we even showed in that Jets game. It wasn't just the Jets being better than we thought. I think we also kind of stopped playing. We played really well for the early portion of that game, and then they sort of adjusted, and we didn't adjust back.
And literally had every break go against us.
Yes. Whereas in this week, honestly, this wasn't the same thing where we got every break going for us. As you pointed out, the Titans got a couple of big breaks that led at least one of them led to a score, right? I believe. And so we clearly got the plus side of the ledger on luck in this game, but it was not as lopsided as it was against the Jets. So I'm encouraged by this. I think this team is more what we thought it would be, which is a plus offensive line. Not a great one, unfortunately, yet. We'll have to see if they can get better. Maybe the offensive line will be better if it had a more plausible quarterbacking threat. More on that in a second. But the defense began to show up for most of the game. The pressure they had reminded me early in the game and late in the game reminded me of the pressure they got on Fitzpatrick in the Jets game last week until they just stopped putting the pressure on. So I feel like this defense kind of, redeemed itself to an extent, but still was not anything to write home about.
It was a step in the right direction. It's still giving up a lot of rushing yards, I believe, Patty.
No, yes, we'll get to that in a second. Also, Uncle Granty, one of our other loyal listeners and correspondents, he also preached patience privately on our friends' email lists. But I think you and I can calmly say that he should go to hell, right?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. We all have that friend, who played football like once or twice in high school, wasn't particularly good at it, but he played and you didn't, and so then he believes he understands everything about football and wants to correct you about everything. I think you had to deal with most of this because I was busy, becoming a father when Grant was complaining to us about last week's podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to anything he's got to say, though.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's best for our viewers too. Man, let's move on to the biggest storyline. Look, Travis Benjamin obviously was the biggest performance, and I'll talk about him in a second. But let's just get right into Johnny Manziel, who is, by the way, I don't know if you know this, he is the best deep thrower in NFL history, the best deep passer in NFL history. Did you know that?
Is that by what measure?
He has attempted only 3 passes in his entire career over 30 yards.
Just those 3.
And all three of them have gone for touchdowns over 50 yards.
All 3 completed, all 3 for touchdowns. That's pretty good.
Yep. Anytime he throw, obviously we should be throwing over 30 yards every single time he drops back.
I think that's the lesson is clear.
The lesson is clear.
Nothing but
yeah, again, you didn't watch, but you read enough. What were your thoughts on the Johnny? The other thing that I was picking up on was, people were saying, "Hey, great job, Johnny. You had a great game. You're still not going to be a viable NFL quarterback." And like I said, my quick takeaway, and I'll see what you think, is no. I think he actually amply demonstrated that he has the ability to be a clear, solid NFL quarterback. Whether it can be more than that, still a big question up for grabs. But he has some skills that we have not seen in Cleveland in a long time. So there's something there, and that's where I'll start with. What are your thoughts?
This is damning with faint praise, but we got to remember where we're coming from on him, where we thought he was a terrible, not even close to NFL quarterback, could not be in the game for any period of time, and would just get lit up. That's not what happened in that game, right? Like, whatever else you want to say, he wasn't horrible.
Mm-hmm.
That is a progression from where he was last week, I think, and certainly a progression from what we saw last year. So the trend line is pointing in the right direction. I still have the concerns, a number that were raised in the article that I think you're going to talk about, right? Like, especially about his height and size and strength generally. Those are my biggest things. And whatever speed he had in college isn't as playable in the NFL. I think those are long-term worries. And if he's just smart enough to be able to go through his progressions quickly and make good decisions, right? Like, that's the hardest thing. There's athletes that are way better than him that can't do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing. So let me recap this article that we're talking about, so our listeners can be cued in. So Monday Morning Quarterback had an article by Andy Benoit. I don't know how to pronounce it. Where he basically made that argument of like, "Hey, great game, Johnny. You're not going to make it in the NFL." It's like kind of a curious time to send that post, but he had 3 basic arguments which are legitimate. But I came away unconvinced in reading the article. Not that Johnny's not going to be a great. Is not going to be. Sorry. I didn't come away convinced that Johnny's going to be a great quarterback, but just that he didn't convince me he's definitely not going to be a good quarterback. So here's his main criticisms are, he lacks adequate arm strength. He obviously doesn't have, he's too short, and he doesn't have any pocket presence, and that's why Johnny's going to fail. So let's break down each of these things and talk through about it. So first of all, I've heard this knock several times. I started looking it up. Like, was that his draft grade? I thought his draft grade was that he actually had pretty decent arm strength. Like, not world-beating elite Aaron Rodgers or, frankly, Derek Anderson arm strength. Guys who have cannon arms. Or, dare I say it, Brandon Weeden arm strength. We'll talk about him later. Brandon Weeden has a rocket arm, So he doesn't have that kind of an arm. I agree. He doesn't have that kind of an arm. But, I don't know. Clevelanders have seen a lot of quarterbacks come through Cleveland and play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Charlie Fry, Colt McCoy, Brian Hoyer, who couldn't throw the ball 30 yards without it like fluttering in the air. It clearly has above average arm strength to me.
He's the greatest longest passer of all time, Pat, of course.
As I already said. But I thought his whole reputation out of college he has a great deep ball. Great touch, great speed, great distance on his deep throws. He can throw without really putting that much. The knock that Benoit had was that he has to throw his whole body into it to throw it all the way down the field. I went back and looked up a few videos. I don't see that. I've seen him like plant off his back foot and throw something 40 yards, like on a rope. I've seen him like stop back, like a quick release, 40, 50-yard strike. Like I know he can throw the ball 60 yards. Like he doesn't need to be able to throw 70, 80 yards.
Yeah,
but
that's
he
not
has
my
a good
concern.
touch on it. I don't think that the arm strength is really a good criticism. I think it's not his, he's not world beatable, but it's certainly solid. Height, yes, obviously can't fix that. He's short. Then again, as we point out, Russell Wilson is a successful NFL quarterback. Drew Brees, obviously, hugely successful. He kind of intimated that Russell Wilson and Drew Brees are stronger and have better arms. Look, Drew Brees is incredibly accurate, for sure. But I watched the zip he puts on it. I don't see it as being that much of a, I don't see either of them as having much more arm strength than Johnny Manziel. But that's based on the eye test. I don't really have any
I don't know. I mean,
other
Russell
measurements. What are your
seems
thoughts?
demonstrably stronger to me than Manziel.
Physically or
physically?
Yeah. So is what's his name? God, there's so many. There's the litany of failed Browns quarterbacks. Brady Quinn had fucking guns, and he had an arm strength that was probably comparable to Johnny Manziel's. It was not an amazing arm strength.
Yeah, maybe even worse. That's fair.
Probably worse the more he got bigger. So I don't see how Russell Wilson having muscles really helps him overcome being short. Yeah, he runs the ball more, sure, certainly. And as you said, Johnny Manziel's speed isn't world beating, but the point is, it's good for scrambling. The move he pulled off for that game clinching touchdown, which is one of the few parts of the game I actually caught. I made a total ass out of myself in the Dwayne Reed. I was waiting for a prescription for Becca, watching on my phone, and tuned in for 3rd and 6. I thought we were totally blowing that game, and just watched that play happen. I thought he was about to get crushed on the blind side. He did that crazy spin out. That was just awesome. Fist pumping in the aisle 3.
Good for you.
Thank you. It felt good. But yeah, so getting down to but here's the bottom line: pocket presence. Absolutely, this is what he's missing: the timing in the pocket, having that internal clock, going through his progressions, hanging in the pocket long enough to deliver that throw. The thing is, he doesn't have that, but I think this is the one thing you can actually learn. Manziel has shown that he's a smart guy, and if he's actually serious,
has he shown he's a smart guy?
I think people have said, when you talk to him, he seems pretty sharp, and he seems to get things pretty quickly. He's certainly quick enough with good retorts and comebacks. I mean, he's not a dummy. And the question I think has always been his maturity. Last year, it wasn't so much that he wasn't smart enough to get it; he was just being an asshole. He just get drunk and get hung over and not really put the time or commitment into it. He seems to be doing it this year, and it's impressive if he has actually been dry. I don't know if I assume he's been dry. I mean, he went to a rehab clinic. I haven't heard anything out of him.
Something other than alcohol, Patty.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably true as well. But that's not something that's easy to do.
That saw him drinking mimosas at a Cleveland sports bar establishment. So I think maybe.
Oh, okay. So he's not. So he's not in AA or anything like that, but he's maybe in Narc Anonymous, I guess. But anyway, the point being, he seems to be putting the time and commitment in, and it seems like something he can learn. I had to say, the thing that the most impressed me was not the lead, but he had a couple of series in the Jets game early and in this game against the Titans, where he was doing those check down progressions and hitting guys in the right spots and seemed to be kind of being more of a pocket quarterback. And then, of course, huge long stretches where nothing got done. Yeah, and that's the knock on him. But the point to me is that I'm seeing some real growth in his ability as a pocket passer. He seems sharp. He seems to have tools. This could be a project that ends up paying off in the long run. I'd say it's going to be, but I think it's premature to say he definitely can't make it in the NFL. I think he's done at least enough to say that you can't count him out yet.
Yeah, and that last point, the pocket presence, the other side of that article was the author saying that Mariota does not have that yet either, but he's confident he can develop it.
Because why? I mean, he's taller, he has a good arm. I guess it's better than Johnny Manziel's. It didn't seem visually to be much better, but he threw a great ball. Actually, Mariota has a couple of great passes that were well defended by the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I would trade Johnny Manziel for Mariota right now.
Hands down, yes.
Right? I don't think there's an argument
totally,
there.
Of course.
If I had to bet on him becoming a productive starting quarterback in the league or not, I would still bet against him. Part of that is just he's got the Browns stink on him. Mm-hmm. But there is definitely, I would want better odds than I would have last week or 2 weeks ago on that bet. And then the trend lines are pointing in an okay direction right now. And that, Pat, in Cleveland Browns world, is what we call a victory.
Optimism. Reason for optimism alone.
That's right.
It's a victory for a Cleveland fan. So bottom line, Maddie, do you start Johnny next week, or you go back to Josh McCown, assuming he clears concussion protocol? Like I thought he would last week, and he didn't clear it.
I think 100% you let it roll with the kid. What's the point? What are we doing here anyway? I think you let it roll with the kid. We're not winning the Super Bowl.
We definitely are not. I did see on Twitter that a unofficial depth chart listed McCown as the starter and Johnny Manziel as the second string. But he hasn't cleared concussion protocol yet, and I don't know if that's any indication that or any tip of the hand of what the coaches discussed last night.
No, and I think they want to keep Manziel in his place too, right? Like they want to keep his mentality of you got to earn this each and every week. So I could see him being second on the depth chart every week of the season and starting every week if it made sense.
Yeah. No, I have a feeling they're going to try and kick it slow with him. Also because it sounds like Joe Thomas and some of the other veterans still want to roll with Josh McCown, even though Joe Thomas, who was obviously my hero, but also was unflinching in criticism of Johnny Manziel last year and after the season. He's also been pretty forward in his praise of Johnny in training camp and the season so far, the kind of night and day work he's putting in. So that goes a long way that Johnny's – and the cool thing was all the quotes Johnny had about after the game about how it feels good. He kept talking about, like, the locker room.
Yep.
That was interesting to me because he clearly had lost it. Everyone had basically said, oh, well, fuck you, Johnny. Like, you go fuck yourself. And that's not an easy thing to do, to win back a locker room after you lose it like that. And it seems like he has done that to an extent. So that's encouraging. For me, if it's my brain, I'm with the Browns. Veterans all kind of want Josh McCown to start. I do think Josh McCown's still more polished, and judging on that one drive we saw, I feel like there's probably more we can do in the passing game with him as the quarterback. And also, it's very easy to dump him and go back to Johnny. But by that same token, we're not winning Super Bowls, then who gives a shit? Why don't we take our time with Johnny?
Yeah.
And see what Josh can do, since he didn't do anything to lose the job yet.
No.
Except get his head bashed in.
And I don't think we're in a point where
but my heart.
I think we could play him, start him, and pull him after. If he screws something up, he's not at the point where we can't yank him out of a game if we need to. I don't have an issue with that for his confidence. I don't care about that, honestly, at this point with him. Like, if he goes in and screws a bunch of things up, pull him for a series or a half. Or McCown supposedly is mature enough to handle that and knows his place. And they got to get Manziel mature enough. That's part of his humbling process. So I go with your heart, Patty.
Well, no, but my brain was saying Josh McCown, but my heart tells me that my grandpa's 97 years old. He's only going to see so many more Browns games, and he wants to see Johnny Manziel. So come on,
yeah,
do it for World War II veteran. Come on. Briefly, moving on to the Rabbit. Is this just scheme, just a Johnny connection, or is he going to be a real thing the rest of the year?
So he's not going to keep this pace up, obviously, right? But he is a good punt returner. I think that'll keep up depending on how teams might start kicking away from him or whatever.
Which is good field position.
Yeah, he's a real dude.
They're going to have to concede field position if they punt. Yeah. And his speed, like you said, his speed will definitely keep defenses honest, and he can be that kind of guy that will have 3 catches in a game, maybe even 1 catch, and it's that 1 catch that breaks the game open, or at least the threat of it.
Yeah,
keeps defense a little bit honest, keeps the safety back, which opens up underneath routes. If you watch that last play, that last bomb that he had, it was great. Johnny Manziel actually had 2 wide open receivers he could throw to on that play when he rolled out. Duke Johnson, who was leaking behind the linebackers and had a good 5 yards on them. That's what pulled the safety in. And it didn't pull the safety in. The safety just stopped going back. He stopped backpedaling because he saw that guy breaking open, took a few steps towards him. That was it. Game over. Benjamin was open at that point and isolated. So, but honestly, even if that safety had tried to charge in, Johnny could have still thrown it to Duke Johnson and gotten the first down. So anyway, I think Rabbit's going to it's great. He's finally doing what I think we thought he could do, which is a guy that would just be a threat and be able to make maybe 1 or 2 plays as a receiver and just be a constant threat as a punt returner.
Happy to have him.
So yes, exactly. So yes, the defense again acquitted itself by apparently giving up a shit ton of running yards. I don't understand this. I don't understand why our defense can't stop the run.
That's real weird.
Well, it's also weird that there's a familiar pattern here across the board between offense and defense of a really strong start for most of the first half. And just before the first half ends, it starts to fade. And then it fades super strong in the second half. Like everything that was going right in the first half goes wrong. Is that Is that the other team adjusting and our coaches don't adjust back, don't have a second game plan, a second wrinkle to throw at them? Is it guys getting tired, not being in shape? I don't know. It's a problem that they have to, hopefully they're aware of and they stop, because it's happened 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I don't have great answers to that question. Part of me feels like it's our linebackers just aren't very good.
Yeah, I mean, who do we have? We have Mingo, who's kind of a bust, but a useful player, but not an all-star by any stretch.
I mean, Mingo's really that's one that the Grantland guys really. Bill Barnwell's in a harping on Mingo phase right now. I mean,
yeah.
Scott Solomon got hurt week 1, and they weren't even really comfortable playing Mingo after that. So
yeah. Once again, Mike Lombardi, genius at football. Thank you, Mike Lombardi. Go fuck yourself.
He's brilliant.
Oops, sorry, hang on, maybe. He's a genius. He's a football genius. Savant.
Dansby had a pretty good game.
Yeah, but he's old.
Craig Robertson played okay, but I feel like he's a solid player. He's not a difference maker.
Yeah, whatever happened to Kirksey? I haven't seen him a lot lately. And Nate Orchard. But Kirksey was the great cover. I mean, he's obviously great for run defense, but he was one of those guys that was going to be really helpful in coverage. I just haven't seen. I remember last year I saw him a lot. I noticed him a lot on defense. I feel like I haven't noticed him as much this year.
Totally agree. And I don't think Nate Orchard's been active yet.
Yeah.
Orchard.
And then our defensive line. Our defensive line's getting good pressure. We got. Yeah. What's frustrating is we can't get any pressure unless we blitz, unless we throw more than 4 guys at the quarterback. And I like that they started dialing it up and just throwing guys at him, because that's what kind of helped save us. But our 4 guys can't get pushed.
Yeah, which is disturbing.
I mean, obviously we're a 3-4. We're not a 4-3, but still, you tend to rush at least 4 guys every down. It's a question of which 4 you rush. But still, whatever 4 we combine, I've never seen any kind of serious pressure with 4 men.
No,
and that's big.
That's what you hoped for Mingo, is that he would be somebody that could come in and get pressure on the quarterback. I think it just hasn't materialized. I mean, we went over this last week, Pat. There's a lot of wasted draft picks on the defensive end that are just.
It's a lot of dead weight on the team.
It murders.
A lot of dead weight. Yep. Well, all right. Any other thoughts on the Browns before we move on to the rest of the league, so to speak?
No, I don't think that's. I think that's my overall take. Is like where it's not disaster. One tough week against a maybe better opponent than we thought. One a little bit luckier week against an opponent who's more our speed. I think the Raiders game will be telling.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of which, I mean, what do we know about the Ravens and Bengals? I mean, the Ravens lost to the Raiders. That was a big surprise.
Yeah.
Does that mean the Raiders are better than we think, or that the Ravens are worse than we think?
Who knows at this point of the year? I think this is all where doesn't mean anything.
All right, we've been burying the lead here. Honestly, the biggest story of the week, Maddie, is that Brandon Weeden is going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL next week.
God forbid.
And I, for one,
God forbid.
I am excited. Maddie, I don't know if you saw this, but Jerry Jones recently said, quote, "You won't passer than Brandon Weeden." He was not winking. He was not laughing while he said it. He was saying it all serious. Here's the full quote. "This quarterback, Weeden, can drive the ball down the field." Or should I give a southern twang? "He's a thing of beauty. I'm throwing a football. His passing motion, his arm, frankly, you won't see a more gifted passer." I don't know if this sounds like Jerry Jones at all. "Power, accuracy, and the entire aspect of it. If he can basically prepare, be the starting quarterback, come in and execute, and keep his head right, then I feel good about Weeden." I think the key phrase there, Matty, was keep his head right.
I guess.
As you point out, this is a man who told a reporter, "God forbid I am forced to play in the preseason." This is a man who once got sacked by the American flag before his first NFL game.
Yeah, I would. Super concerned if I'm the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, his ability to throw a football has never been the problem. He has a gorgeous arm. He does throw a beautiful football. A lot of people throw a beautiful football. My Uncle Tom, until into his 60s, throws a beautiful football a long way. He's not an NFL quarterback. Not even a Division I quarterback. It's not everything. All apologies to my Uncle Tom, who does not deserve that. It's a great man. But Wow, this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the Cowboys game already. Jason Witten maybe supposedly hurt too for that game. No Witten, no
Des Bryant.
That's about as bad a 2-0 start as you can have for a team.
Yeah, seriously. How long is Romo supposed to be out? Have you seen?
I think there's pretty decent forecast for him, 6 to 8, I think, weeks. So he'll be back.
So he's but he's on a similar timetable as Des Bryant, right?
I think that Des Bryant forecast was
4 to 6
originally, and now it's getting pushed way back.
Okay.
I think he had to have bone grafted onto his foot. Like I think it'd be a surprise now if he came back for the season.
Okay.
Them being done.
Wow.
Maybe it's a much more pessimistic forecast than it was initially.
Yikes. All righty. So any other thoughts on Brandon Weeden starting NFL quarterback?
Nah, God forbid. This is the best.
Isn't it be great to just watch a former Browns quarterback just destroy another fan base's hopes and dreams?
It's nice.
It's going to be great to watch. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Maddie, I don't know if you know this, but the Tribe are in a playoff race right now.
Deep in the thick.
Are you aware? They're right in the thick of it.
Oh, Patty.
Very exciting. Yes, sarcasm. But here's the situation. The Tribe are 4 games back out of the wild card. We got 13 games left to play. That's pretty steep. 4 games to make up is a lot in 13 games. However, the next 3 games, next 3 nights are a big deal. Although I may have missed. Did Houston play the Angels last night?
Yeah, they did. I think Houston won.
Won. Okay. That's frustrating. But still, point being that Angels and Houston play each other, so they're going to be beating each other up for the next 2 games. The next 3 games are against the Twins, who we are behind in the standings. We also have another 4 against them at home coming up. So we can easily leapfrog Minnesota, no problem. Hopefully the Angels and the Texans, because Texans also play Houston over the final course of the year, they all kind of beat each other up and play relatively 500. If we make a big run and win, say, 8 out of 11, 7 out of 11, 8 out of 11, 8 out of 13, which is doable, 9 out of 13, decent shot at finding a way to get close enough to force a 14th game, because we have a makeup game against Detroit we haven't played that will only be played if we're within a game of the wild card spot.
So it's scary for me, Pat, is I think the last time we talked, I said I thought the Tribe were going to need to get like 87 wins to get in there.
Yeah.
That would be going 13-1. 14 games.
Yeah, and that's probably right. But, I still feel like we get a little, 83, 84, stranger things can happen just because other teams are going to be playing each other so much. If they all play to 500, we might just claw back enough. But, I could probably do math and figure out for sure if that's the right amount.
So
I ain't got time for that shit.
As of this morning, we're between 4% and 8%.
Oof. So you're saying there's a chance?
I'm saying there's a chance, buddy.
Well, but here's the thing. If we sweep Minnesota, things change, right? If we sweep Minnesota in Minnesota, things change.
That takes care of it. Minnesota's playoff chances are not much better than our own, unfortunately. It's really the...
No, that's true.
It's Houston sitting a little prettier than you'd like.
No, that's true. But what that does is it gets us 3 games in, and we're in a much better position to reassess our playoff odds, basically, right? And we start putting the pressure on the teams, and they see us playing well. If I were to hear another team getting a sweep, it'd be pretty demoralizing. Like if Houston sweeps the Angels, it'll be demoralizing. Although there's so many teams we can catch up to because Texans don't have a big lead on Houston either. So, so the point being, tonight's when it starts. And here's another fun fact about tonight's game. Maddie, right now the Tribe are at 500.
74-74.
This is the 5th time in a week they've been at 500, and they've just not been able to get over the hump. So there might be a psychological block there. If they can find a way to break through that, that would be pretty encouraging.
God damn it, let's do it.
Let's do it. Wait a second. If it leaves only one thing left to do, Maddie.
Win the whole damn thing.
Fucking thing. Exactly. Jake Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. One of the things that surprising part of our comeback here in the last month of the season has been Josh Tomlin, who is throwing a fastball that I think tops out at 88 miles per hour.
Oh, yeah.
Has been injured most of his year. He gives up a lot of home runs. But he might be our third best starter right now, which is crazy.
You're putting him over Cookie?
No, yeah, right now, lately, Cookie didn't come through for us the other night. I mean, look, long term, no, of course not. But the last 4 or 5 starts, he's been our third most reliable starter.
I do like
Danny. There's
he's been good, and I like the depth of our starting pitching still. That's helped because
it's pretty great.
Sound like Terry Pluto, but something happens to a starter every year. You never know, and even during the course of the year, it's good to have that kind of depth. That is and will remain an asset for us.
You know what really helps you win baseball games, Matty, is having good pitching.
It's amazing, isn't it? Good hitting's not crucial. Bad either, and the combination.
You know, it's true. If you can have those two things together, Matt, you're in a good place as a Major League Baseball team. Words of wisdom from Terry Pluto. Another thing that's kind of concerning is Corey Kluber's health. Corey he was hurt for a couple weeks, missed a couple starts. He came back. He didn't really look like he was all there.
No,
he left the game a little early.
Yeah, a little early.
I don't think he's gonna. I didn't see any news about him being hurt or missing his next start, but hopefully it was just he was a little rusty and they didn't want him to do a full 100 pitches after having 2 weeks off. I don't know.
Right.
Have you heard?
Nah, I think that was it. I think they just were being extra careful with him.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then finally, Francisco Lindor is still making a run at this Rookie of the Year thing because Correa's average keeps dropping.
I was just looking up the numbers. I was on ESPN's stats site today, and their WAR rating, I forget which one they use, but Lindor has passed Correa.
That's awesome.
3.7 WAR for Lindor, 3.4 for Correa. So
the biggest difference
people learning for him, sure.
Yeah, and the biggest difference between them right now seems to be home runs. Because Lindor's getting on base a little bit more. He's hitting a higher average. He's better in the field, certainly flashier. I think the metrics support that too. They're pretty much even on stolen bases, though Correa has a little bit more attempts at least. And he has more home runs, but not by a ton. It's like what, 17?
I think he's got 19 now to 10.
Is it 19 now? Damn. I don't know, but home runs do say a lot about it. That do speak for a lot. So it'll be tough to make up that home run difference in the voting. But I have a feeling it's gonna be a really close race, and Correa will not be. I think Correa's probably still gonna win it, but fuck it, Lindor is my Rookie of the Year.
Yes, and certainly the Tribe vaulting over the Astros into the playoffs would be helpful for Lindor's case.
That's true. That would be pretty exciting if you pull that off. All righty, Maddie. Anything else you want to say about the Tribe before tonight's game again? So if you haven't already, guys, to fucking log into MLB, pay for the rest of the month. Go watch it online tonight. It should be at 8 o'clock tonight. Tribe versus the Twins. We need to win tonight, basically. It's pretty much every game is must win. So let's see what we do.
Get yourself fired up for next year.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Cavs training camp is coming up end of the week, right, Manny? September 29th?
Yeah, I think that's right.
But that's not the end of the week. That's Monday, right?
Week from today.
Yeah, week from today, which is very exciting to have Cavs basketball back. We can stop being depressed about the Browns and stop relying on the Indians to get us excited about Cleveland sports. But there's another big factor that is playing into this is that I didn't realize this, but the deadline for TT to accept the qualifying offer is coming up. Basically, October 1st is the official deadline. I've been reading.
Yeah, I think that's right.
For him to accept it. But they think that 29th, the start of training camp, is the effective deadline. Like they could still work something out, but they'll want to start it by training camp. If they're gonna make a move, they might as well do it then to get him in the training camp. There's no point in waiting a day. That's sort of silly. So that's what they're thinking. It might happen before the 29th. Windhorse had a piece on it saying they're $14 million apart, because I had the numbers off last week when I said $90 million. It's $94 million over 5 years, so not that much of a difference, but close to an extra $1 million per year. So I get why he's now a $3 million difference per year, roughly, between his two numbers.
Yep.
I still don't see it. We said, Maddie, that we would we come up with something for me to do if he signs a qualifying offer, because I feel like there's no chance he's going to sign a qualifying offer. It just would be such a terrible idea from a risk standpoint, from money standpoint. Giving $8 million now to gain $14 million over the life of a contract.
It seems a terrific risk,
especially because I can't believe he really thinks he deserves and is going to get a max. He's hopefully angling for something in between, and that seemed to be hinted at in the Windhorse piece, that this is all posturing to get something in the middle ground, something that more than Draymond Green, and I would be on board with that. If the Cavs give him $85 million, great, extra fuck you to Draymond Green, right?
Yeah, who can't get behind that?
Yeah, exactly. So I hope that's what the Cavs end up doing if they cave, to say, all right, fine, let's do 85 and call it a day. And he'd be crazy to pass up that inside a qualifying offer. But yeah, so if the Cavs do, if TT does actually take the qualifying offer and terrifies us all, what should I do?
This is as a punishment for saying that he wouldn't do it. This is as a
I was trying to say how confident I am. Last week we couldn't figure out what's going to be
I think you should buy a Thompson jersey immediately.
Okay, done. I'll buy a Thompson jersey immediately if he signs the qualifying offer.
I think that's fair.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'll buy that so I can see it join the dustbin of former Cavs jerseys. Verjao is the only current working, functioning Cavs jersey I have.
I do think that I don't believe Paul's point that if he signed the qualifying offer, he's not going to sign with us next year. That's stupid. There's still a chance we could offer him more money than anybody. He doesn't care about that. That was just posture.
We absolutely can. I don't understand how we couldn't. I think we do retain his bird rights, don't we?
Yeah. So
if we retain his bird rights, we can offer him more money. So he'd have to pass get more money just to say, you guys didn't pay what no one else in the league thinks I'm worth.
Right.
Last year, like come on, they are making a fair market value thing. So there's no insult here. There should be no insult here. So you can't take that. No. But
and it doesn't seem like TT's acting that way to the Cavs or any of his teammates at all. So I don't think we should worry.
And I'm not worried also because LeBron still isn't doing anything. Yeah. I don't think LeBron, LeBron wants him here. I don't think he's going to let him just walk. Yeah. But yeah, I'm training camp. I mean, this is exciting. We get Cavs basketball back, Maddie.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's how this podcast started.
I know.
We're gonna have to start thinking about season previews.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
It's an exciting time to be a Cleveland sports fan right now. Tribe winning. Cavs are about to start playing. The Browns weren't horrible. There's not much more you can ask for, Maddie. Except and one other piece of fun former Cleveland player news. It's time to light a candle for the Care Bear.
Poor guy.
Anthony Bennett, former number 1 pick in the NBA draft by the Cavs, is bought out by Minnesota.
He'll land somewhere. Somebody's going to pick. Yeah. He's not done in the league yet.
No, it's still weird to me because he had a good shot in college.
Yeah.
And you think he could develop that into a consistent, dangerous 3-point shot, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
To be a rotational player, I think he just doesn't have the basketball IQ to play good defense.
Really looks like a disastrous pick on our part too.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad we threw it. We probably would have had to throw, if we had taken Noel or something there, we probably would have had to throw that into the Love deal maybe. But
it's meaningless in terms of our current future. It has no impact on our current future. I think you're absolutely right. Whoever we would have drafted in that bad draft, we would have had to throw into that deal. I mean,
still a bad look.
Maybe. Yeah, absolutely. Still a very, very bad look. I mean, and if we don't toss them in, we have to toss in, Deion Waiters or something like that instead. Yeah. And then we can't toss Deion in to get Shump, Mozzie, and JR. So, so it all's well, it ends well. And hopefully, our heart goes out to you, Care Bear. Cleveland fans still think well of you, even though you were a horrible draft pick. I want you to do well. You're a good guy.
For sure.
Hang in there, buddy. All right, Maddie. I think that does it. Anything else that we didn't cover?
No, I think that's good. And I should probably go back and hang out with people.
Yes. You go
You
back to your
probably have a
vacation.
son you have to do something with.
What? Oh, that's right. I have another child. Yeah, I should probably go back and be a dad. Next week, ideally, Sunday. The game is at Sunday. Sunday night, we'll try.
Yeah,
the
that could work. I'm
podcast.
still here, but we'll have a lot of free time. So yes, Sunday.
Nice.
Very
All right.
viable.
We'll see. So tentative for those who like to listen live and weren't able to listen this time because basically we had to just pod this as soon as I had an hour free. If we do a podcast on Sunday, we will do it Sunday night after the game. We'll see if I actually be able to pull off doing it the same day, but we'll try. Okay. That'll be the goal.
Sounds good, buddy.
All right, Maddie. Until next time, this is Maddie and Patty saying. Ship. Excellent. All right, buddy. See you Sunday.
All right, man. Talk to you.